I know Rich here has actually, as we were talking, spawned a level 1 abattoir using the sigils himself right there. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to kind of jump in.
Yeah, so Rich has done a little of this content on his character here already. So he's got a little bit of a preview of how it's going to play, how it's going to feel to play through. But I think it's going to be pretty fun. Let's see how he performs.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I did want to address on that I saw from chat is that character that I have is as close as I can be to being maxed out. Because this is trying to be as relatively close to what I've been practicing on, which has been the tier level 100 Nightmare Dungeons. And I think there's a few things that I wanted to call out as well. On the actual sigil itself, I think one difference here is that I'm not aware of what afflictions I'm going to encounter in this battle. So I think capping things or getting as close to as capped I can for things like my armor, my magic resist, my damage, and all those. Just really trying to be ready and prepared for any surprises.
Yeah, I know Rich is because you've played through Abattoir a little bit. You've built a little bit more survival on your Sorc here, as opposed to completely glass cannon. He's a little bit more prepared than I think some other people would be. But I know with us showcasing here a level 1 Abattoir, kind of at least showcases a little bit. How would you guys compare this to a Nightmare Dungeon in terms of tier difficulty, or would it be similar to a Nightmare Dungeon in terms of tier with a level 1?
Yeah, the level 1 Abattoir of Zir is kind of close to what a level 104 might be. That's kind of where things start, and then things step up from there. Now, you'll see here right off the bat, there's some big differences, right? On the right-hand side, you see that there's a bar that's being filled. Abattoir of Zir runs are really races against time. So Rich here is really focused on killing creatures as fast as he can in an effort to kind of beat that timer and summon the boss at the end of the experience. Loot's not dropping for him as he's kind of rolling through this thing. We don't want to slow you down. We want to keep you killing as fast as you can to show off your ability to kind of survive in these environments. Now, as we step up, one thing we think is interesting about this is we actually taking one step back actually. Some of the things that Joe's talked about when we were at BlizzCon was our commitment to end game content and itemization rewards and things. The things we want to do to continue to make the game better. Abattoir of Zir is it's designed explicitly to appeal to players who are at this stage of the gameplay experience, and we're going to be using it to kind of think about and iterate upon more features like this we want to bring out in the future. That's one of the reasons why it's a seasonal event. It's a fun experience for Season 2, but we'll have slightly different ideas in the future of how we want to kind of create similar content.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, and I know with, we can see Rich. By the way, Rich has been so lucky with shrines every single time we've watched him go through.
Yeah.
He consistently gets artillery shrines, which I'm just going to claim, I don't know, community manager.
Community manager RNG. Yes.
Yeah. That's a big part of it.
I'm going to be 100% honest with everyone here and those watching. I went super tanky because I think one of the nightmares that I would have is actually to die in the middle of a demo.
We'll make that happen, I promise. But I know with level 1, as you can see, Rich is well ahead of time, so he's clearly geared out and ready for a level 1. But at the end of these abattoirs, we'll see here in a second as he gets to time, we do have a little bit of a kind of an end period for players, a little bit more of a challenge towards the end.
Yeah. So and one thing that's making this particularly interesting is with the vampiric powers in Season 2, with Rich running Metamorphosis regularly, I mean, he's basically got permanent unstoppable. As he's just kind of using Flicker Staff to keep resetting that unstable currents, and he is just keeping that 4-second unstoppable uptime. And he summoned the boss, and wow, that was spicy right off the bat. So every time you manage to clear one of these levels, you're going to summon 3 Bloodseekers, who are pretty strong. They're going to have affixes of their own that you're going to have to go ahead and clear through. The timer is still ticking, but Rich has got a really good, healthy lead on the timer right now, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a question of whether or not he gets spiked by something he didn't expect. But with the amount of barrier you should be able to pack with your Sork at this point, I don't think that should be a problem.
I don't
This
know.
is a unfavorable
This is-
spawn.
Yeah, I don't
location.
like I don't like this spot.
You're in some
I
tight
think
corners
I think
here.
in every single practice this has happened. But what I'm feeling lucky about is that I don't have a suppressor, which is definitely a
There you
nightmare
go.
for me and my
There you
ball
go.
lightning. But yes, I'll pass it back over to you because there's actually some pretty cool stuff to call out over here.
Yeah, okay, so upon finishing your first run through the Abattoir of Zir, you're gonna earn the special glyph associated with the seasonal event, which is the Tears of Blood glyph that you can see here. Now, Rich has already spent some XP on this, upgrading it before, but this is an extraordinarily powerful multiplicative bonus glyph you get to kind of slot in. This has got 200 levels associated with it for you to upgrade through over the course of time. It starts out at the size of a tier 15 normal glyph, normal rare glyph. So it is extremely strong right off the bat. So you're going to be able to use this to kind of help you get through some of the more difficult tiers as you go deeper and deeper into the experience. And there's one other really neat thing about this as well. So this experience, the Tears of Blood glyph itself has like a lot of Paragon glyph XP that you need in order to upgrade it as you continue to like go on through the experience. And one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that if you're at this stage, if you want to experiment with other glyphs, you can still you get giant amounts of XP from finishing Abattoir of Zir level.
1,000.
And
You're at 1,000.
players
From tier
right there
1,000.
saw 1,000
Yeah.
XP.
From a tier,
so, yeah.
from a tier 1, you get 1,000. So if you want to use this as an opportunity to kind of like rank up some of those other glyphs you've got because you want to play with other things for other builds and other things, here's an opportunity for you to kind of like go in quickly, like level up a bunch of those other glyphs that you have, in addition to not taking too much time away from your Tears of the Blood if you're trying to like keep pace with that. But we think that's like an extra fun little bit. But yeah, Tears of Blood glyph, super powerful for players to be able to engage with. Again, it's only here for the season, and it'll be retired at the end of that season.
Yeah, and like we just saw Rich, of course, churn through a level 1 pretty easily. I struggled a little at the end, but
There was a little struggle. I got a little
Wasn't too
nervous.
bad.
wasn't too
Fine.
bad. But I know Rich, what key or what sigils do you have here?
So I think what I did over there was a sigil one. I think what we were talking about was trying to make like an engagement moment, basically by having chat almost pick the challenge ahead. So what I've pre-crafted beforehand is a 2, a 6, as well as a 10. Funny enough, I created backups for this because hey, I might die. But I think it's just one of those things where I would love to reserve the 10 and beyond levels for a later moment.
Yes,
But
yeah.
Adam, you had a great idea.
And as a reminder, tiers for Abattoir Zir go up to 25.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are a significant amount of tiers, and they, of course, go up in difficulty by a pretty, almost an exponential amount as you're going from tier to tier. But be curious, okay, all right, you already asked the chat, and the chat is already going, screaming 10.
Yeah.
So they just want you to die.
Okay, we
which-
said we're gonna let chat choose 2, 6, or 10. We'll see what they say. I'm like, it's gonna be 10. They're gonna absolutely want to see.
They're going to want to see 10. So, Rich, take us into a
Let's do it.
tier 10, and
Yes.
let's see how he does. Now, are you going to
You got
adjust
4
builds a little bit
You have
here?
4
Well, so-
questions too. I just want to call it. You have 4.
I mean, a few things here, I think, for the players at home is that obviously you saw that the previous one I was geared up to be a little bit more tanky because the last thing that I want to do is embarrass myself and die on there. But I think what Joe and team can do is also explain how some of the scaling works as I go up. So I think I'll just go in. I think what I'm trying to balance out now is just try to add a little bit more damage output by sacrificing some of my tankiness. Just because I anticipate that the higher HP is going to be a challenge, and I don't want to lose to the time, and I actually want to see how far I can progress. So let me activate this.
I was like, you went back in without acting.
yeah,
the nerves. It's the nerves.
yeah. To Rich's point here, I mean, it's not easy to play games on stream, right?
No, it's not.
no, so this is why we're going to have him narrate a full Romeo and Juliet play to us as he's playing
Yeah.
to ensure
Full color commentary.
full concentration on this.
No, so to Rich's point earlier about how the scaling works. So as we were experimenting with this content, one of the things we discovered pretty quickly is we just didn't want to continue to scale monster damage up, in a really significant way as you're kind of going through this content. We really want to focus a lot more on monster health scaling as you go. Because we quickly get to a point where any bat that kind of clips you, which is basically just completely ice you unless you're invulnerable at that point, and it just makes it a less fun experience overall. So we wanted to make sure it was much more about can you beat that timer, can you survive the bosses at the end, not as much about like damage gets so high over the course of time that there's no opportunity for different classes to really be able to perform, right?
Yeah, and the Tears of Blood glyph really is going to increase your damage output.
Yes.
Right, so leveling that up. Is
Did
gonna
you actually
really-
have your Tears for Blood glyph equipped?
Oh, is it equipped?
So I did not, and I think one of the things that I wanted
Well
to do, I mean, for me, I think as I've been going in and testing it, like I think it's actually been a pretty cool experience to see like how it's been with and without. I think just exploring a little bit more into it as well, like while my Paragon board is optimized for what I have here, it's definitely opening up a lot more. Oh, hold on a second. Can you-
Also, you didn't replenish your
he
potions
didn't
before
replen-
you
I
went
tried
in
to
here.
warn him.
So
It's about. This is for the stream.
mistakes were made.
This is for this-
this is for the stream.
mistakes
Oh, I
were
see. You're
made.
This
trying
is
to
for
give
the
yourself a
stream,
disadvantage
right?
for clicks. I see.
This is for the stream.
We got more max potions.
Yeah,
That's true.
So
You did get that.
Rich did not do himself a few favors here. One, he did not replenish his potions, and then two, he did not equip a Tears for Blood glyph.
Yeah, you are
because-
falling behind that timer pretty
Yeah,
quickly at this
because
point.
he wanted to be a show off
Yes.
and is not
Yeah.
showing off.
Well, it's interesting to see how valuable, you were talking about this earlier, how valuable the vampiric powers are in this content as well.
Yeah.
Really configuring those.
Yeah, I mean, if you're permanently unstoppable, like Snake Family is a lot less dangerous to deal with across the board. Like you don't have to deal with that that charging stun. You don't have to
charge
deal with
bite, yeah.
you don't have to deal with the paralyzed. Like there's you have some advantages. I think it's funny that we got snakes randomly twice in a row.
Yeah,
But hey, that's the nature of live gameplay.
and I will
It's
say
not just snakes though. You can see other things in this.
We're
Right,
nearing
yeah,
the
that's a
end,
great point.
by the way.
Each time you enter Abattoir of Zir, you're going to have different monsters, different tile sets, different layouts.
And I think the big thing here is that my eye is definitely drawn into the timer compared to how it was in the tier 1. I'm definitely not taking out as many monsters as I need to get the potions, and that
tip-
timer is really hurting my feelings right now.
that and
Everything
I
seems fine
will
here.
say like the normal progression for players will be
Oh my gosh.